All right, hello everybody. I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. Again, a little bit of Bell palsy going on, and so if I'm not sounding like myself, if I slur, problems with my F's, with my P's, a couple of other things, enunciating certain words, that's why. My doctors have told me that it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months for this thing to go away, so it is what it is. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for listening. The unfair and fair criticism of LeBron James. So many people, first of all, have come to call him Le Flop. Not LeBron, not Le Goat, etc. And we need to be fair and remember that guys like Dennis Rodman, for instance, used to flop a lot back in the day. You know, Rodman would flail his arms and do this whole thing and make sure the refs looked at him. Now, did he always act like he was hurt or any of those kinds of things? Not necessarily. But the point of the matter is he was doing whatever it took to win a game, try and draw a foul, whatever, right? And I think me and LeBron are roughly the same age. I mean, I'm 37 years old. He's right there, isn't he? So don't tell me that he didn't come up watching that style of basketball. You know, all of us old heads, quote, love to talk about the 70s and 80s and 90s and all that good stuff. And I think that we forget that Rodman was very loved and hated because of actions just like that. Do I like it when Rodman does it? Do I like thinking about it? I mean, it's funny to a degree, and maybe we'll look back one day and we'll laugh at LeBron in the same way and go, dude, like, really? You know? But it is fair to remember that other guys have taken this style of play as well. Flopping has always been a thing. Now, they're supposed to be finding it, especially if it's egregious. But again, going back to people like myself who grew up with MJ, remember announcers, hey, if you're Michael Jordan, you're going to get that call. Somebody else didn't get that call, but that's because they're not Michael Jordan. Well, it's the same today. You're not LeBron James. You're not necessarily going to get that call. LeBron's probably going to get it. You're not going to get it. It's the way that it is. LeBron finally outs in the first round of the NBA playoffs. How many years did it take for LeBron James to lose the first playoff series? Now, I will say this. I do think that this basketball team is exponentially better, far and away better, not exponentially, but extremely, better than they are without Anthony Davis. He was a tremendous difference maker for that basketball team. But you know what, though? In a lot of ways, that's okay. It's okay that Anthony Davis was in a situation that he didn't want to be in. He ends up with the Lakers, and, you know, a lot of people will say, well, last season didn't count. Well, a lot of people said that Tim Duncan's first championship didn't count. It's not that LeBron James hasn't already won a title. And I know a lot of people go, well, he's been there how many times? How many MVPs he won? Jordan never lost in the NBA Finals. Hey, there are a lot of guys that have never even been to an NBA Final. There are a lot of guys who never won an NBA Final. Patrick Ewing is one of those guys who never won an NBA Final. Karl Malone and John Stockton went to a couple of NBA Finals. They played against, in the eyes of many, the greatest of all time, Jordan, and they lost. Sean Kemp never got a ring. Clyde Drexler never got a ring. Charles Barkley never got a ring, and these are all phenomenal basketball players. A ring will never define a career. You know why a ring will never define a career? Because there are people who have rings that have never seen playing time in a finals series. It's the same in the NFL. You gonna tell me Brad Johnson's a Hall of Famer? The bottom line is, Just because you don't have a ring doesn't mean that your career has been for naught. Gary Payton does not have a ring. The glove. One of the greatest defensive players of all time does not have a ring on his finger. At least not with the Sonics. And look, I understand the super squad thing going on. I understand LeBron being a recruiter. I understand LeBron wanting to play with his friends. But whatever happened to basketball being fun? I mean, so many people go, there's getting all this money to play a game, a child's game. Okay, so he wants to play with his friends. Big deal. It's part of having fun with the game of basketball. Now, later on, of course, did things really work out with him and D-Wade when they were back in Cleveland together? No. But also the first and foremost idea of anything at that level is winning. That's kind of a point-blank situation. Do I think LeBron gives up? Do you think I like watching LeBron walk out? You think I like him being on the bench with 7 minutes to go in the game? Down by a dozen, knowing that things can turn around quickly in the game of basketball, basically giving up on his players? No, of course not. I think that's stuff that GOATs do? Hell no. Absolutely not. Do I think it's things that great players do? No. To rest games? Hell no. Do I think LeBron is the greatest of all time? I'll say it again. No. Do I think he is great? Yes. Do I think he could have been better? Absolutely. I think the issue that we have here is that we forget other things in basketball, and we all create a narrative that paints and fits the picture that we need it to paint. And I think at some point we have to be fair, and we're just not fair to anybody anymore. Do I think LeBron should have ever called himself the GOAT? And that, that little interview where he was like, that play right there, that was the one that made me the GOAT. No. But he also admitted that he's chasing this ghost in Chicago. You see, the fact of the matter is Jordan's legacy will linger on probably until the end of time. Is so-and-so the next Jordan? We've been hearing it since Jordan was still playing basketball in the 90s. We've been hearing it for over 20 years. Pushing 30. We're coming up on 30 years of hearing, is so-and-so the next MJ? I think we need to move on from Michael Jordan. I think we need to move on because he's not a basketball player anymore, and we need to let somebody else truly take the reign in the NBA. Because as long as we stifle other players, we will never be able to move on and enjoy the game of basketball again. And that's coming from somebody who spent 9 years in radio, so I know what it is to be part of the media. That's coming from a fan. That's coming from somebody who's played basketball. Clearly not at that level, but I mean, I played basketball and I love the game. And so, sure, there are things about the game today that are completely unwatchable to me. I hate people just standing around waiting to take a three-point shot. And I hate this one-man dribble drive. It's not even a box offense anymore. It's not even a 1-4 set. There's no motion at all. It's just one-on-one basketball. And, all right, it's Harden right now, so now he's going to do it. All right, it's KD right now. He's going to do it. Whoever brings the ball up the court, right? Yeah, that crap gets old real quick. But there are worse things than LeBron James in the game of basketball. Allowing the Euro step, the two-step, the BS foul calls, the softness of the game, the way it's geared towards offense now, the way we don't allow players to play defense. Before some young buck listens to this and goes, oh, well, they were averaging X amount of points back in the day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because they had to learn to be more skillful because of how aggressive the defense was. That made you a better player. But then again, I also love watching Steph Curry play, but it's hard to love watching him play when we say he's not the MVP of the NBA just because his team isn't where they should be. But stop pretending like Pistol Pete didn't exist before. Stop pretending like these guys didn't yuck it up back in the day from the half court either. They say the game doesn't change, just the players. The only thing that's really changed about the game of basketball today is the amount of defense that is not allowed to be played. You want guys to play defense, but they have to be allowed to be able to play defense. That to me is the bottom line. And I think that we need to be more fair about our criticism and also acceptance of LeBron James and other players in the NBA. Kevin Durant. Look at Harden. I criticized that dude for years because he was a turnover nightmare. Big reason why OKC never got a title with those guys. Shattered the record for turnovers in the season. Went back, worked on his game. Part of it is, again, defensively, they're not allowed to be as aggressive. If they were, maybe who knows? There was a time when I thought to myself, Harden wouldn't be in the NBA back in 1995. Dude, you turn the ball over too much, man. You're going to be a sixth man at best in this league because we do need a shooter. But we need a shooter when we're already up by like 8 or 10. That would have been his role back in the day. Now he's an all-star. He's an MVP. Former MVP, I should say, even though I still maintain Kawhi should have got it that year. But regardless, I think we need to be fair about the critique of LeBron and the NBA. And if you think the product is unwatchable, then don't watch it, don't talk about it, and make them change how the game is played through viewership. Okay, they don't want to see 150 points a game. We got to start letting these guys play defense again. We need some LeBron rules the same way they did for the Jordan rules and see what this kid is really made of. Where's the moxie? Let's find out what happens when LeBron gets hammered the same way Jordan did. Is he going to come back, build his body up even more, and then go to the rack even stronger and say, I double dog dare you? And then sweep him. Sweep him. I'm Drew Duncan, and I still have Bell palsy.